Hey folks, I just wanted to do a quick first impressions video of Teotihuacan. So, I'd heard a lot about this game over the past year and a half. I think it's been one of the hotter games that people have been talking about quite a bit. But for some reason, it didn't necessarily catch my attention that much. There wasn't anything bad about the game or negative about my impression of the game that didn't draw me in. It just didn't really seem that interesting to me. But the other weekend, I was finishing up a game at my local game group, and the person who we were playing the games with had this sitting there and said, hey, should we try this? And I thought, why not? I'd heard a lot of good things about it. A lot of people praised it, so great opportunity to try the game out. And I think the first impression I got of the game, and I apologize, I'm just grabbing some images here from Board Game Geek because unfortunately I don't have any photos of my own of the game. So the first thing that you notice when you look at the game is the game board. And it is a big old game board with a lot of things going on, a lot of tracks, a lot of symbology, a lot of pieces, and it is pretty intimidating when you first look at it. And I've played quite a few heavy games, so I feel relatively confident tackling heavier games, but it did intimidate me a little bit when I first looked at it. But it turns out that actually the game is relatively straightforward. There is this kind of worker track around the outside, worker placement slot track. I guess you could consider it a sort of rondelle in a sense. But essentially there are these 8 tracks around the outside that will allow you to do different things with your workers. And your workers, interestingly enough, are dice. And you never get to roll them, which I guess is a bit of a shame for those of you that like rolling dice, myself included. But the clever thing is, as they do an action, they actually gain more experience and they automatically upgrade. And you upgrade a dice by just changing its pip value from 1 up to 2 to 3 and so on and so forth. And that enables you to take more powerful versions of the various actions. And the actions include things like gathering resources, and building structures. There's a pyramid structure in the middle, which is a pretty critical part of the game that allows you to gain a lot of different points in a number of different ways, actually. And but the worker placement slots themselves are not that complicated once you get the hang of them, once you understand what they do. And as I said, primarily they're gathering resources, building parts of the pyramid, allowing you to go up and down, up hopefully on certain scoring tracks. There's 3 scoring tracks, blue, red, and green, that provide you with various benefits. But, overall, it's not as complicated as it first looks. So, that was relieving for me. And the other thing is, the more dice you put into a location, the more powerful an action you can take, which is also quite satisfying and pretty standard for worker placements, but it is quite nice to see how it works in this game. And I think the most interesting thing about the game is that although there's a lot of moving pieces, it all really works very smoothly together. It's very nicely engineered from a game design perspective. Everything really works nicely together. You can start to see the kind of lattice work of connections between taking various actions, getting various bonuses, moving up tracks to get even more points. And the scoring in this game is pretty dynamic. I mean, I think I had a couple of turns where I moved up a huge number of points, and it's a pretty high scoring game. And it's certainly going to be a game where I think you're going to be rewarded for multiple plays. I don't think you're going to know everything the first time you play this game by any means. It's just too much to sort of digest in the first time you play, but that's a good thing for me. You're going to be rewarded for multiple plays. You're going to feel challenged to come back and work at the puzzle and maybe solve it a little bit more efficiently next time around. So overall, really, really positive first impressions of this game. I think if you like meaty Euro games and you like worker placement as a mechanism, this is definitely a game to check out. The theme is pretty interesting as well. The graphics and the visuals of this game are beautiful. So for my money, I think if you like worker placement, as I said, and you like midweight Euros, this is definitely one to check out. I'm certainly going to be curious to play it again. I don't necessarily feel an urge to buy this game immediately because conveniently enough for me, my local gaming group here in London has quite a few people that have a copy of the game. So I think if I am desperate to play it, I can probably find a group of people to play it with. But definitely recommend you check it out if you feel that that sort of game is of interest to you. And that's about it, really, for this first impressions. Of course, if you got any questions, drop them here in the comments, or you can hit me up on Twitter @GameMinimalist. And in the meantime, enjoy your gaming.